what the denomination that you grew up in says about you. If you grew up Pentecostal, you're the girl we go to when we need a bobby pin. You're always going to keep it real with us. You're the best person to go to concerts with. You're definitely in therapy for religious trauma. Probably have some comfort with expressing your emotions. You've deconstructed. You might be into crystals. You're the one who's going to be dancing on the bar table. You most definitely speak in tongues for fun. And now you might be into some witchy stuff. If you grew up Quaker, you're the one who can have an intellectually stimulating conversation with anyone. You're probably not in therapy for your religious trauma. You likely have more than one degree. Silence does not scare you. Even if you're an American, you definitely give off Canadian vibes. You likely went to your first protest at the age of 5. If you grew up Church of Christ, it's likely that you don't know how to play any sort of drinking games. You harmonize with every song, even if it's unnecessary. It's likely that you've been to tons of weddings, but they were all at your church and the reception was in the fellowship hall. You can be anyone at Bible Trivia. You might walk into spaces and be like, the acoustics are really good in here. Probably have an emergency casserole recipe in your brain just in case. You grew up Church of Christ and you're watching this. It's likely that you know someone that I know because the Church of Christ is so small. You grew up going to a non-denominational church. You're the person we'll call if we need help with the
Not one life.
The church is probably next to like a Quiznos or a Papa John's. Probably try to learn guitar at one point in your life. You're definitely in therapy for religious trauma. You're trendy and have good taste in music without a doubt. You've likely done a lot of international travel, but it's all been for mission trips. You're also probably great at figuring out compromises. At book club, you're likely to be the person who has something really insightful to say. If you're a little older, it's likely that you have a lot of hosting experience. Because if you go to a non-denominational church, the likelihood of you at some point hosting a small group is very high. If you grew up this type of Mennonite, you probably love quilts and social justice. Also probably went through a very intense Hamilton phase. Probably go to protest often. It's also likely that you're very good at thrifting. If you grew up Mormon, I know I can trust you to wake up at 5 a.m. to take me to the airport. You're probably in weekly therapy. You're the person we turn to if we need to know what 10% of something is. Definitely have daddy issues. If we ever need help getting a wagon through a river, we're calling you. If you grew up Mormon, it's likely that you've been in at least 5 weddings in the last few years. When you see something expensive that you want, you think about it in all the tithing money you threw away. If you've left the church, I know that you can have small talk with literally everyone, even if it's an awkward situation. Like y'all are just good at that. You're good at finding loopholes. Also likely that you're very fashionable, cool. You definitely have family drama.
Finding loopholes was shady.
Fundamentalist Baptist church, you were probably homeschooled using a Becca. You probably have strong opinions about family sizes. Probably been to the Ark Encounter at least once. The jeans skirt trend probably drives you insane. This work is tearing down the patriarchy. You also probably know how to sew. Your mom probably made your high school diploma on Google Docs. You now reference shiny happy people whenever you're trying to share something about your childhood. You might have a degree from an unaccredited college. You also are probably going to be very intentional about parenting, having children. Despite all the family problems, I feel like you probably have one sibling that you're really close to. It's also very likely that you personally know someone who is in politics, is a politician, or a lobbyist who stands for conservative values. If you grew up Southern Baptist, the words VBS and D now probably trigger you. I know you've been on several mission trips to Central America. You're also probably one of those people who has a sports team that they're a diehard fan of. Your family still begs you to go to holiday services. You also probably grew up playing sports through Upward. You're the person we want to gossip with. Peak of your childhood was going to Winter Jam with your youth group. You're probably the kind of person who's amazing at debating MAGA Republicans, and you're now the black sheep of your family. You probably can't dance. You're also kind of the person who can relate to everyone when it comes to religious trauma. It's also likely that before you deconstructed completely, you tried out a non-denominational or like hip mega church first. You also probably turn on Reliant K or Barlow Girls to reminisce about your childhood. And you probably have a stack of Brio magazines in your closet.
That was
Ooh,
wild.
that hit close to home right there. I'm like, oh, we actually know that church.
That was oddly specific in a number of ways.
Oh goodness, I was like, that.
About this, if I'm honest, what's really interesting about this is that people have people's responses to like the negative that they experience in church are so documented that you can make a list of stereotypes like this. Like that's what's
Right.
really interesting about all this to me. Like, because to me, when I hear the term non-denominational, I don't hear what she said at all. What she was talking about was a contemporary style megachurch. That's different. Contemporary style megachurch, multi-site. All three of those things are wrapped up in what she was talking about there. When I think of non-denominational, I just think of somebody who didn't have a denomination. I think of somebody who didn't have a bishop, or I think of somebody who planted a church, whether or not they had the backing of an organization. That's typically how I think of it. So I think that like same thing, independent fundamental Baptist, like those are extra qualifiers on. When I was growing up, Baptist meant a very specific thing. And like Baptist though is low key, like saying you're a Baptist is kind of like saying you're a Crip. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, right? But it's like the Crips, or you mean the Roller 60s Crips, or you mean the Grape Street Crips? Like, which Crips is you talking? Like, that's kind of how it is. Like, it's like nobody is just one kind of. There is a Baptist umbrella that we all kind of sit under,
and ain't that the truth?
you know. But it's like, but nobody's
Ugh.
under the same section of the umbrella. And like independent fundamental Baptists, if we're keeping it 1,000, is really just people with semi-Baptist theology who like to be in charge and don't want anybody telling them what to do. That's all. It's just that it's that, and that's why a lot of them end up being cults, because when you're not checked by anybody, you tend to turn into those. You know what I mean? So that's it's really interesting to hear. And also, I'll say this on staff. It's very funny when people use the term deconstructed or deconstructing as if there is a specific meaning for that as well. Because what they're really doing is evidencing that a lot of them have quote unquote deconstructed their way into just believing groupthink somewhere else. That's what they're really doing, but they don't say that. Like disassembling unhealthy beliefs, 100% for it. If you came up in a culty environment, if you came up in an environment that said all women are supposed to make pies and all men deserve to be in charge, yeah, culty, super culty. Deconstruct that, break that down some. But a lot of people, it's like their deconstruction is really deconstruction out of the unhealthy culture and toxicity of their denomination, not Christianity or Bible or God. And they don't actually, a lot of us are not actually being accurate with our language. For some people, I think they are actually deconstructing from unhealthiness, but a lot of people are just finding reasons that their trauma can give them to walk away from objective faith that would cause them to have to be challenged in any of the way they want to live their life.
Right.
And that's two different conversations to me. That's just,
they are two different conversations. They are definitely two different conversations. One's a scapegoat, and one you got to actually do work to test your faith.
Yeah. And you can be traumatized either way. That don't take away, but I'm just saying, don't say we doing one thing when you really doing something else. That's all I'm saying.
Doing something different. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, she said D now, and I heard a whole bunch of people get triggered. That was funny to me. I can't already. Oh,
faster.
God.
I can see John being faster than
Start off.
Yeah, I beat you there by a good 30 feet. Nah, I don't remember that. But even, wait, you wrote that me and you were running to see Jesus's empty tomb, but you ran faster. I can see John being faster than you. Shut up. Carrot. Yeah, I beat you there by a good 30 feet.
Married?
I don't remember that. But even so, I feel like you being faster is an unnecessary detail in the story of the resurrection. Yeah? Well, write your own book. I want to start by talking about the nicknames that Jesus gave you guys. I'm not feeling well. Did I ever had any kind of nickname? That's because people give nicknames to people that they like. Thank you. That is true, though. Nobody likes a tax collector. I'm sitting right here. You guys can see me, right? This is how little we trusted you as a tax collector. You were clearly the best with money, but we made Judas, who's known for stealing money, the treasurer. All right. First off, y'all are making fun of the educated one here with a and I'm pretty sure
they throwing shade right in their face.
Unschooled. So, Peter, what Luke meant by that was a very nice way of calling you stupid. I know what that means, Judas. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Speaking of stupid, you betrayed the savior of the world for 30 pieces of silver, right? Well, Peter, tonight. Thanks, man. If I'm going down, you're going down with me. That's fine. But you know why Jesus changed my name from Simon to Peter? He actually calls you Simon Peter at times. And you know the old saying, never trust somebody with two first names. Okay. No. Anyway, he named me Peter because Peter means rock. And he said that I would be the rock on which he built his church. Or, and hear me out, it could come from the saying, dumb as a rock, which makes more sense.
You know what? You know what? You know what? You know what? What? Yo.
This is good. This is good. This is good. Oh, this is good.
Dumb as a rock is wild. Wow.
That's crazy.
Who's the only person in history to walk on water? You walked on water for 2 seconds, then the wind scared you and you went under. Oh, maybe that's why Jesus named you Rock, because you sink like one. There's that education. Watch out, he'll cut off your ear. Oh, look who's talking. Hey, your name is synonymous with, what was it? Oh, yeah, conniving backstabber, right? Yeah, dude, you ruined the name forever. No parent would ever name their child Judas now because of. Okay, let's not forget that
That's
there are
facts.
other
That's
Judases in
crazy.
the
And
New
that's
Testament.
facts. I don't know not one Judas.
I'm thinking hard. I'm like, yo, since Latin died, since Latin as a language died, I think we're done with Judas. Period. Pretty much.
Oh, that's his name out of history. That's crazy.
And the whole bad connotation surrounding my name could be because of something they did. It's you. Definitely you. 100%. Okay. Well, he also called me a friend at one point. So, Jesus literally called you a devil. No. Well, he said one of you is a devil. So it's unclear. No, it was 100%. Really? Because if I recall, he told you to get behind me, Satan. No. Well, you're taking that out of context. Oh, context matters. You're called the devil? Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm just kind of glad my name doesn't live in infamy as an insult. Nimrod kind of got the shaft there. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but since we're talking nicknames, I am known as the disciple that Jesus loves as the brother. So choke on that. Yep, that sounds a bit like you're bragging. I am. I just didn't want it to sound like. Wait. What was it that Jesus called you and your brother? Oh yeah, he called y'all like the boys of summer or something. What? No.
The
He
boys
called
of
me and
Summer.
James the sons of Thunder. Dorks. Sounds like a ring name for an amateur Mexican wrestling duo, but locally known as Lo Hijo de Trueno. How you say cab driver in Spanish? Okay. All right. I want to change gears for a minute, but before we do, I want to thank our sponsor, Delilah's Hair Salon.
Yo,
Get a
what?
haircut.
This
Wow.
is what?
At Delilah's.
That's
All right,
crazy.
let's talk about these books that we read.
Delilah's.
Not you, obviously. Are we going in the order in which they're presented? Because I'm first. I'm first of the Gospels. I'm the first taste people get of the New Testament. Yeah. And you started it out with a long list of lineage. Sounded like an Arabic phone book. A real hook for our first time readers. Well, I wrote it by myself.
That's crazy.
You can say. Says who?
That's crazy.
In First Peter. Oh, you couldn't write it yourself because you're unschooled. You wrote with
That's
the
crazy.
First, did I? Shoot, I shouldn't have done that. While you illiterate Nimrods argue over who had a ghostwriter, Nimrods, see? I'd like to point out that I authored 5 books because you're a Paul wannabe. Burn. And yet, with that, you could still only come up with the titles John,
That's-
Second John, Third John. Cares. What was your 5th book? Was it that romance novel, The Boys of Summer? All right, Sons of Thunder. And are you done, John? You wrote the 2 shortest books in the Bible, Second John and Third John. Third John was 200 Greek words. For a minute.
Yo,
This is great.
They are really like
This is great.
dragging each other. Like this is not like this is full blown. Let me
He
hold
said-
your leg and drag you across the parking lot.
He called him
my
a
God.
wannabe Paul. That's crazy. That's crazy.
He said you named 5 books after yourself.
This is good.
He was like, I think Jesus called you a son of the devil or something. It was
right,
like-
yeah.
It was just, yo, I'm sorry. Oh, wait, there's more. Wait.
This is great.
Hi,
is great.
Caleb. You want to hear the poetic sound of a one-handed clap? I'm concerned that your response is always violence. I'll pray for you, John. I have a feeling yours don't get too far.
I'll pray
Whoa,
for you, John.
Did you see that? No. What was it? Your prayer bouncing off the ceiling.
He took it further. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, so Judas, your prayers don't get nowhere.
Oh man, whoa! I didn't expect that at all.
That
was
was
he was
funny.
like, "Oh, that sounds like God not listening to you."
That was funny. That
Oh,
was
man,
funny.
wow.
I hope in heaven we can do interviews.
Wow.
Oh, there's like whole forums in heaven. We can ask questions.
Wow.
That's what I hope.
Wow. I had to go look up and see if First Peter was written with a co-author, and it was. I forgot. Ironic. I'm not gonna lie. Being a Bible student recently and then watching this video is like I have to like go. It's a joke.
It's
It's a
funny.
joke. Over and over, like because I'm listening to stuff. I'm like, well, like it's like a whole bunch of stuff happening at the same time. Like they was talking about the John thing or whatever, and that was the thing they talked about in my New Testament class was like, John in the scholarship world, nobody thinks that the Apostle John wrote Revelation. Like most nobody thinks, like because John is not the only reason we think John wrote Revelation is because it says John. It doesn't say John the disciple. It doesn't say John one of the 12. It doesn't say there's nothing there that tells us that, but we think because it says John. It's like, oh, well, there's only one other John or whatever, and it's like, mind you, the Gospel of John doesn't say John wrote it either, but that's a whole other conversation. It's just like you get into this big can of worms and like authorship and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm like, no, joke. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, but yo, that's really, I can't imagine. That would be really interesting to see. And I definitely think they would go back and forth over the disciple getting their first part being written in, because that's pretty much consistently seen as a petty addition.
Right. Right. Just so y'all know.
Right. In case anybody was wondering,
I was the first unbeliever to get to the tomb. Yeah.
I saw the linens folded. I saw them folded. I did.
I saw him first.
You know, he came in after. He said, "What's going on?"
Too. I smelled it. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I smelled it when he passed gas and left. Oh. I smelled it. It was fresh.
See,
what a mess.
That was wild.
Bible time. That made this. It's encouraging because it's like it reminds that these are human beings 100%. Who like had petty in them. You know what I mean? Like this is a skit, obviously, but like there's petty in them, in all of them. They're just fun.
Oh yeah, there were definitely some petty arguments among the disciples for sure. Because even like the Bible will, like when it talks about people arguing, it doesn't even necessarily use the same language we use. So sometimes we don't see it as strong. But like in I think it's in Acts when they had the Jerusalem Council and they were deciding like what they were gonna what kind of parameters they were going to put for Gentiles if they came into the faith and stuff. It said they had no small disagreement. Like that means they blew up. That's what that means. That means
they was like
up.
going. It was Baptist. They was going forth.
Yeah, somebody was like, "And you're a heretic." Like that conversation was real intense. But on the book, it's like they have no small disagreement. Like that's the proper way.
Yeah. Y'all could have been a fly on the wall for that. Yeah.
We glad they was not.
That was great. Thank you, Church of Hightower.
They were not live streaming the Jerusalem Council. Thank God.
Thank y'all as always for watching us on Take It to the Bridge. It's a great time. Please like, subscribe, share, and find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, anywhere you find podcasts. We will be there. Thank y'all so much. We'll see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Your word is my home. That's it. It's the bottom.
Oh my God.